All right, good afternoon, cyber traders. To close out our day wrap up this week, this Friday, October 21st, shortly after 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Welcome on back here for our afternoon meeting. Great to see Michael still with us, Felix still with us from before, and the rest of us perhaps rejoining us right now, Leda included, and Dan inside our live trading room. Perfect. Great to see all of you there. Great to see all of us back on social media, Facebook Live, and YouTube. So, man, the market's pushed up pretty nicely today, hasn't it? Right? And one would wonder if we're going to see continuation into the close. It ended up building a nice top earlier from the open, roughly off the 370 level, ended up breaking above my resistance lines heading into the late morning. And from there has been smooth sailing since, right? Now, from yesterday, we were talking about some dark pool prints, some huge money right near the highs, and it was on like the Qs at the time. It was like QQQ. Well, to talk about the SPY briefly, I just caught this a moment ago from that same account I had shown you yesterday on Twitter. Cheddar Flow is their name. But I actually ended up just seeing a dark pool on the SPY. It was 6 cents under the high of the day there. High of the day on the SPY is 373.36. It was about $204 million worth of volume. That's a lot, right? So it's saying that I feel like we could see some consolidation into the close. Otherwise, perhaps a lower high. Should it crack that 373.30 level, that's where the dark pool was. Should it crack that level, perhaps we could see continuation. But until it hits that, I'm not expecting it. So I'd look to see a bit of a pullback, if anything, heading into the close. Should that hold and we see lower highs here, ENSV. Either way, we're going to put this on our watch list to start. It's like right underneath $2, basically trending up to the highs as we are speaking. So, yeah, definitely the ENSV we'll put on our watch list here. Should this continue and break above 2, just be a little mindful for resistance here. We have from the daily chart roughly under that 210 level, 209, 210 right there. So that could be your next historical level ahead on this ENSV trade. But nice stock to start with for right now. All right, so what we'll do is go from top to bottom. A couple of other pops from the morning, the early afternoon, but we'll see if there's anything looking as good as this ENSV here. Had LITM from the mid to late morning. This one ended up making a really nice pop. It initially broke out after the market opened up, but honestly, it was off like crap volume, low volume. We didn't really focus on it up until just going into 12 o'clock Eastern time. I know Rich had called this out saying LITM new HOD. And thankfully, from that point, it was really continuing to push. A lot more volume coming in on the trade at that time, and rounded off pretty nicely at 260 and then broke higher heading into the mid-afternoon. So, nice trade from earlier. Snow Lake Resources, LITM. But unless if this really pops hard during this meeting over 250 in the VWAP, I'm not going to be as inclined now at this point, but maybe we'll check back in with this trade at the end. All right, we'll kind of skim through here. Got a couple of cheapies here on the top of the gainer side. Otherwise, a couple of stocks not really trading some good volume here. The AMPX was trading good volume from the morning heading into the early afternoon. Like I'd said before, and a couple of the others here, you'd want to see it near the highs at this point. So ENSV checks out. The LITM, not so much. This one, you could say the same, not so much either on this one either. Pulling back under the VWAP recently, holding underneath that right now. Either way, it's got really thin liquidity out there on the books. So for a Friday afternoon, there's better trades out there now at this point, I feel. ILAG had a nice pop, very similar to this as we just said on AMPX, just dragging down now. The move's already done with at this point. I have no interest in that. All right, we'll keep it going here. This is a GDXU. This is a gold ETF, right? Normally I'd follow gold mining ETF, NUGT, Nugget. I'm sure there's a couple of others. This really is the one I follow for gold, but otherwise a bunch of gold stocks moving up with the market right now. NEM, Newmont Mining is the stock I like to look at least when we're following gold. Good day for gold, good day for the market altogether. So, there's a lot that looks like this, folks. If I put every ticker that looked like this on our watch list, we'd have 100 stocks. So there might be something that you're looking at, unless if it's like really trending upward at the highs, like literally at the highs or breaking a new high, like LAC here. not going to be as inclined to follow it. But LAC looks really good. I'm going to put this on our main list. This stock, lithium, we ended up trading pretty well. This was like a number of months back, probably like from springtime going into the summer. Big pop here from 25 up towards 40. So we've done pretty well on this trade in the past. Why not? We got Cold, we got Novavax here. NVAX, a little sideways right now, but moved back up really well across the early afternoon. So, this isn't one that's going to be moving with the major indices as often. So that's why I'm a little more interested in this trade. This stock has had some short squeeze potential for the last week or two, right? We've had our eyes on this over the last week or so going up. All right, NVAX, we'll put this on our radar. Natural gas ETF, Cold. That's been a phenomenal swing trade. Now, that's just easy for me to say in hindsight. There are swing trades that I'll tell you, like based off strategy, are really good swing trade. And I'm sure there is strategy behind finding a nice bottom on this, but it's just to say, looking at the daily chart, like you've had 2 red days in the last 2 weeks. It's just easy to say it's been a nice swing going up. But as far as a day trade taking us into the end of the week, it is pushing back on up here really strongly for right now. So, hey, if you do well on this ETF inside our live trading room, well, I'm going to put it on our watch list either way, but you definitely know who you are, right? NVAX up, Moderna also up, but that one's pretty expensive. So we're not going to be as likely to follow this as we are NVAX. Another ETF. This is one I'd be more inclined to follow. Like, hey, on days where the markets are tanking, we're going to follow UVXY because that's going up otherwise. Well, here, this is semiconductor ETF, bullish ETF, SOXL. So if there is one sector for us to look to follow going into the close, I've been high on the chip sector for a little while now because of how weak they've been. Similar to what we just said on NVAX, in the sense of the market moving up at least. You're going to see this do pretty strongly. It's going to be a very volatile sector ETF in general when the markets run up, when the markets run down. So, with the markets at the highs here, this is right within our price range, SOXL. I'll put this on our watch list here. But again, stocks that are within the sector, if you're like interested in stocks within the sector, you'll have AMD, you'll have Micron, Intel, which I think has been pretty weak of a stock lately in particular, and then NVIDIA, right? All right, let's see what else we got here. Otherwise, folks, probably a lot more that's up percentage-wise, right? I thought there was another stock that traded with the LAC trade. I was thinking maybe it could have been that LITM that we looked at briefly. Maybe it's LTHM here, but nonetheless, this is up big too. I'll be more inclined to follow LAC out of those, at least for right now. Damn, Netflix up another 8.3%. This has been cooking since Wednesday pre-market. Ended up having a big pop there, but man, this thing has really launched higher heading into today. Beautiful. If you do calls on Netflix on the option side of it, then obviously look to follow that. But, a little expensive of an equity, at least here. All right, there's definitely a lot more that's up, folks. Let me know if there's anything else that looks good moving with the market or just pushing on its own for its own reasons. Let me know. We'll hop over to the loser side for right now. This has been my home run today. IMUX. I know why. I'm saying this as a joke, but I don't know how TradeStation gave us shares to short this. I know why they were doing that, obviously. They had the inventory, but, it's to say I'm surprised that they even did. For as much as this stock got crushed from the last day or so, to have shares to short this stock is pretty wild because this made for, and I don't like saying the E word here because it's like kind of a curse word here with trading, but this was pretty easy. This is very simple of a setup, at least. Off the opening bell print, 242. The more times it stabs at that support, stabs at that level, it should break it. I was calling that out inside our live trading room during the audio broadcast, myself and Fausto. Ended up leading to a huge drop-off shortly after. I ended up leaving a little money on the table on the first half of my trade, and then from there closed the second half, like right off the 2. Ended up actually flipping it towards the long a bit later on. Ended up leading to as good of a long trade as it was short. And then it ended up pulling back as a short later on. I didn't take it again as a short from that opening print. I was on a coaching call with one of our students here at the time, and I was saying to them, support should turn into resistance, but I wanted that classic over and under move for the short again. Pop over and then pull back. Ah, man, just held the level too well. So I'll tell you, as a short, might be a little more exhausted now at this point than anything. It's traded so much volume today, and then from Thursday this week, and then you could just see this thing has been through the spin cycle up and down the last week or so. So worst comes to worst, I think that this will just be more exhausted and flat heading into the afternoon, but it's trending down. So I'm going to put this back on our list here as a short IMUX. I skipped over THC there. I probably shouldn't have. Snapchat, we'll jump back to that one in a bit. But Snapchat from this morning, I'll tell you, it led to a little move, but chart looks pretty wacky. I'm pretty thankful I stayed away from this trade personally. Look at the liquidity on the book. When a stock gets cheaper and cheaper like this, especially one that has a larger float, trades more shares day to day, you're going to see the liquidity fill in a lot more like this. And when the orders are this big at every price level, it's not untradeable, but it makes it a hard bargain. Like for instance, SoFi today. SoFi moved up with the market today, it looks like, and someone could have jumped in off the lows. God bless. But man, if you didn't get in off the lows, it's like watching the grass grow, watching this move up. Had a nice day, but it seemed to be said on the Snapchat trade just in terms of how much it dropped and how much liquidity now is on the book. So, definitely now at this point, we're not going to really look to follow this trade. If the markets plunge lower into the close, then this could be a pretty interesting short, but I want to see what else is out there, see if there's better trades. Like that IMUX looked better. THC, as far as the trend down, doesn't get much easier of a trend than this. Not to say trade because how illiquid this book is, but in terms of respecting the trend, doesn't get much better than that. I'm going to make an assumption here if he's tuning into this meeting. One of our students, Mark S., if he's here right now. I wonder if he's in this trade short. He ended up cleaning up on this earlier from the morning. Whew. Oh my goodness. Where did this come from? Holy smokes. This AUPH down over 17%. This is like a dart on the way down. A straight missile. Whoop. All right, well, we ended up following this stock, believe it or not, just yesterday, in the afternoon meeting 24 hours ago. We put this on the afternoon watch list. I didn't know if there was any news coming out on it. That wasn't the reason as to why. But, yesterday, if there was news or whatnot, nice trend up taking us into the afternoon here. We were looking for the higher high and, it started to push up at first, but stalled out at that point after. So wasn't a great trade for the afternoon. But man, whatever happened here today? You know what? Got a little time, and I'll check the news right now on the stock. AUPH. Why not? You always say, when you have the time to check for the news, that is when you should do it. Not like when you're in the middle of a trade, not when you're at the market open. All right. So news that came out, it was from this morning, 6:16 in the morning. Looks like there was really no reaction at first. Like none. But news came out. AUPH announced departure of Executive Vice President, Research and Chief Medical Officer, CMO. Wow, and not like Marketing Officer, CMO, but Chief Medical Officer. That's pretty bad for a pharma company. If the Chief Medical Officer is like dipping, I wonder why, right? It could be innocent, mind you, but clearly not a good reaction from the street, right? Geez, this thing ended up crashing right below big support off 710. That was from earlier going into the afternoon and has dropped off really steady since. So perfect finding here, AUPH. SPY right now making a lower high, for those keeping track of that right now. It's possible it could pop, but my prediction is that we see lower high pull back into the close. All right, Pinterest, similar with this, as I said on Snapchat, just, not as filled in. So perhaps more tradable in that regard, but no real need to put this on our watch list at this point. All right, folks, I think that'll just about do it with the market up right now. Not expecting to find a whole lot more on the loser side here. So for all of us on YouTube and Facebook Live, for all of us inside the live trading room, certainly let me know if you have any other questions or stocks that you would want us to look at least here, up, down, left, right, more than 5% before we wrap up. Brian says, I got out of FCX too soon. He clocked in like $1 on that trade really nicely from the morning session. I mean, easy to say you could have held on, but that's now in hindsight, right? Especially heading into late morning, early afternoon. And I'm not saying this to Brian because Brian's one of our longtime members here. He knows. But it's like, late morning, early afternoon, that things begin to stall and not really be worth your time. So, you want to get as much meat off the bone as possible, but honestly, in a shorter amount of time. So, you know what? It is what it is. I mean, unless if you left a boatload on the table, but Brian took $1 off the table there. That was a nice trade either way. So, well worth it for him. We'll check out VEV. That one's on my list here, just on Benzinga. It's at the highs. It's up over 8%, but chart's like really spotty. There's better out there. I feel like we could follow. And if everything else is better than this is on our list already, I'll take it. You know what I mean? We don't need to force anything on this watch list at this point, folks, but I was just checking to see if there was anything else looking pretty good with a sharper move up. SPY right now, you could see beginning to pull back a bit. That dark pool I had mentioned was roughly off the price, 373.30, just 6 cents off the high. Why do you think they made that transaction? 250 million or 205, my dyslexia getting in my way, but over $200 million worth of value right there. So I'd be interested in seeing if we get a shake down lower heading into the close. All right, folks, for all of us on social media, Facebook Live, YouTube, enjoy the weekend. If you have any questions, feel more than free to send over a quick email, josh@c2trading.com. But again, let me know if you have any other questions. Otherwise, I'll be more than happy to talk to you on the side over the weekend here. For Grant, Brian, Lita, Dan, all of us inside the live trading room, Elizabeth, Michael, etc. I look forward to talking to you folks coming up a bit later on here in the chat. Rich will be on the mic coming up for our final hour of audio commentary, at least heading into the market close. Talk to you soon.
Become a Cyber Group member today. Just click the link below and receive all these amazing products and a world of knowledge for just $9. Do it today.